All right, today we're diving into a really classic, kind of bizarre story. It's a tale that makes you ask a very weird question. What happens when you can see everything about the world around you, but you understand absolutely nothing?
See, this is the story of four brothers who could read the world like an open book. I mean, they could pick up on the tiniest clues and make these incredible deductions. But when it came to just basic, everyday logical decisions, well, that's where their story just completely falls apart.
And our story kicks off, as so many of these stories do, with a pretty foolish inheritance.
So these brothers were known around their village for being, well, fools. First-rate fools, actually. So when their father passed away and left his entire legacy, which was just a single horse for all four of them, they were hit with a problem that simple math just couldn't solve. Now, you and I might think, okay, sell the horse, split the money. But their solution? Nope. Their minds went somewhere else entirely. They decided to treat it like a pie. After calmly agreeing to chop it up so each brother could get one leg, they got completely stuck on how to divide the rest of the horse. It actually took a random passerby to suggest selling it, an idea that had, believe it or not, simply never even occurred to them. So they set off to the city to sell the horse, but on the very first night, their journey takes a really unexpected turn, and they accidentally become the world's strangest detectives. While they're sleeping, a thief makes off with their one and only inheritance. So the next morning, they set out to find him. But instead of horse tracks, they stumble across the tracks of camel. And this is where their bizarre gift for observation really starts to kick in. As they're looking at these tracks, their strange talent just wakes up. The first brother immediately declares it was a male camel. The second one chimes in, adding that it was blind in one eye. And then the third brother completes the picture, noting it must have broken its rope and just bolted. In just a few seconds, they've perfectly described an animal they have never laid eyes on. And right on cue, who shows up? The camel's frantic owner, asking if they've seen it. So after describing the animal perfectly, they all say, in unison, "We have not seen it." The owner understandably doesn't believe them for a single second, and of course accuses them of theft. And right here, this is their core problem in a nutshell. They observe everything, but they understand nothing about context or how their words sound to other people. They actually repeat this exact same mistake just moments later, perfectly describing a runaway pregnant woman they've never met, which only makes them look even more guilty. This combination of brilliant deduction and zero social awareness is what ultimately lands them right in front of the king. So now, they're brought before the king on charges of theft and kidnapping, and the brothers have to somehow defend their very strange abilities. Their defense is simple and honestly pretty unbelievable. They tell the king they aren't criminals, they just possess ilm e gaib, which is the knowledge of the unseen. They basically claim to have this kind of supernatural insight that lets them know these things. The king is, of course, skeptical, and he decides to test them. He puts a pomegranate in a box and asks them to identify it. The first brother says, "It's a round thing." The second one adds, "It has a little crown on its head." And finally, the fourth brother, completely exasperated, just blurts out, "Why not just say it's a pomegranate?" And wouldn't you know it, against all odds, their bizarre step-by-step process actually works. The king is totally convinced. He declares them innocent, dismisses their accusers, and sends the brothers on their way, now officially certified as men with mystical powers. Now, you'd think a royal pardon would be a major turning point, right? But for these four brothers, foolishness is a full-time job. Even the way they find new employment is just absurd. They're trying to count themselves, and each brother counts the other three but forgets to count himself. So naturally, they think one of them is missing. When a passing horseman correctly counts all four of them, they are so blown away by his genius that they declare themselves his slaves for life. So their new master gives each of them a job, and the results are, well, they're catastrophic. The brother told to keep flies off the master's mother does so by hitting them with a heavy stick, killing her in the process. The one told to feed the oxen slaughters them and buries their heads in the feed. The one who was supposed to harvest the wheat sets the whole field on fire to, pre-roast it. And the last one? He just lets stray dogs eat the sheep, figuring it must be God's will. The master, somehow keeping his cool through all this, has one last tragic task for them after his mother's death, preparing her for burial. And this leads to the ultimate misunderstanding. The master, pointing to his ear, tells them to dig a grave this deep, which is a common figure of speech. But the brothers, of course, take him literally. They go to the cemetery and dig a tiny hole, just big enough to fit one human ear.
Oh, but it gets worse. On the way to the cemetery, the mother's body falls off their stretcher, and they don't even notice. When they arrive with an empty stretcher, they conclude the corpse must have run away. So what's their solution? They find another old woman, kidnap her, and present this screaming, terrified replacement to their master, saying, "Here's your mother. She was trying to get away."
And that was the final straw. After apologizing like crazy to the poor woman they kidnapped and finding his actual mother's body, the master had finally had enough. He threw the four brothers out, freeing himself from their disastrous service once and for all. In the end, the story really leaves us with a compelling question. The brothers could see details that no one else could, but they failed to grasp the simplest concepts. It really forces us to ask what intelligence truly is, and whether brilliant perception without a single shred of wisdom is a gift, or if it's just the most dangerous kind of foolishness there is.